Avenger fans, rejoice! This is Kawaii50 here with another Fake Grand Order video to talk about the brand new Avenger that has arrived on NA, Taira no Kagekiyo. I know there's tons of Ushi fans out there who have just been waiting for this servant to finally arrive on NA, and with all of the hubbub there, we definitely have to go ahead and talk about her. We're going to be going over the best allies, craft essences, and command codes to make Taira no Kagekiyo a fantastic Avenger on your team, if you so choose to use her. Hopefully, this video really helps you out, and if it does, be sure to go ahead, like, and subscribe. Taira's deck holds 2 quick, 2 arts, and 1 buster card with a single target quick noble phantasm. She is designed straight up out of the box for pure and utter carnage against single enemies. She is, in essence, a boss slayer. Her most notable stat is going to be her attack at 12,705. It is the 10th highest attack in the entire game. She's also got a pretty good refund on her noble phantasm, and she does have the ability between her cards and a solid Skahawk Scotty support to be able to loop. So if you are looking for a new quick looper to use in some challenge quests, well, Taira might just be up your alley. Her star absorption is pitifully low, naturally. However, there are ways around that. Taira's first skill is O Genji Meet Your Death rank A++. This applies a 100 to 200% attack bonus against Genji enemies, which might seem a little limiting at first, but the other bonuses this skill provides more than merit maxing it first. Taira gets a 50 to 100% critical strength bonus for 3 turns when activating this, and a 20 to 30% NP steroid. Taira also reduces the critical star gather rate of all allies except herself. So if you were worried about that low star gather rate, never fear, this skill is your way to get around it and ensure Taira is able to get some crits in. For these reasons, definitely max this first. Taira's second skill is Kagekiyo Shall Not Die rank EX. This gives her a guts and also increases her instant death resistance for 3 turns. It also gives her a nice little effect. When her guts is triggered, she gains a Grudge of Vengeance stack, and this affects the damage based off of her noble phantasm. Now, I've seen some people online talking about builds where you can go ahead and sort of play around with Taira's guts and stack a bunch of Grudges of Vengeance in order to pull as much damage out of her noble phantasm as possible. While that is theoretically possible, I am going to say for the average player, this is going to end up being more trouble than it's worth. You really have to dig deep into a solid guts setup and ensure that Taira dies very quickly, dies a lot, and has enough guts to go ahead and get those Grudge of Vengeance stacks, because she can max them at 4. So that's quite a bit of times that Taira needs to die and have guts activate. For the average player, this is just going to be a nice surprise when this skill pulls a little bit of extra damage out of your noble phantasm. So feel free to go ahead and max this last. And Taira's final skill is Mist of the Circle Mark rank B. This gives her 2 evades that last for 3 turns, and also increases her attack by 20 to 30% for 3 turns. She also has the added benefit of cursing all of her enemies for 3 turns. It's just 500 damage each turn, but hey, every little bit helps. We are going to go ahead and max this skill second to both reduce the cooldown on the evade, as well as increasing that attack bonus that Taira wants to see. Taira, Kagekiyo, Tagekiyo. There we go. We figured it out. We can actually focus on 2 of Taira's append skills when it comes to leveling her up. Extra attack boost can be an excellent bit for her because a lot of players do use her as a solo and or last stand servant. Because of her evades and her guts, she sees a lot of success in that role. So extra attack boost will especially help if Taira's cards are the only cards that you're pulling. Load magical energy still remains good on every single servant in the game, and if you tie this with Taira's NP charge skill, that is an instant 50% Noble Phantasm. You'll only need to use one Scotty skill to get to that 100%. And that's with no starting NP gauge craft essence on Taira. And now we get to Taira's Noble Phantasm, Fleeting World, Fleeting Might, rank B+. This removes an enemy's buffs, all of them, and it activates before damage is dealt. So things like evade or things like invincibility are things you really don't have to worry about when using this Noble Phantasm. So that gives you a lot more flexibility with craft essences, especially in challenge quests. This deals 1200 to 1600% damage to a single enemy, and you deal extra damage based on those Grudge of Vengeance stacks. The math is essentially like 25% times Grudge of Vengeance stacks. We don't necessarily need to go into it. All you really need to know is you deal more damage as long as you have those Grudge of Vengeance stacks. They max at 4, so you can get a solid little extra bit of damage. Her overcharge effect isn't really anything to write home about. It curses an enemy for 5 turns, hits them for 1000 to 5000 damage based on the level of charge. So if you really want to go into some sort of curse strat with a couple of other servants that are focused on curse, you can, but odds are your enemy is just going to be dead after they are hit with this Noble Phantasm. So who do we pair Taira with to maximize her effectiveness? Well, she is a quick servant, so Skahawk Scotty is still going to be your go-to when it comes to any sort of quick support. That charge she has, the quick critical damage, all of it is absolutely fantastic when it comes to supporting Taira no Kagekiyo. Of course, I do have some less expensive options available for you in terms of rarity, as well as an alternate expensive option you can play around with, so let's go ahead and go into those servants now. These first two are mainly geared at newer players that maybe saw Taira and decided they wanted to try the game. So Hans Christian Andersen is going to be an excellent go-to. He's able to grant Taira critical strength, he's able to charge his own NP gauge, and grant Taira critical stars per turn, as well as charging her Noble Phantasm gauge every turn. His Noble Phantasm is also fantastic, providing a bevy of buffs to every single servant on the field. Hans is basically one of the best budget supporters you can pick, and a lot of players, myself included, have used him to effectively get through the early portions of the story. After his rank up quest, Alexander the Great, the young version that is also an excellent choice when it comes to supporting Taira, mainly because of his Omen of the Conqueror ability, providing quick card effectiveness for all allies, which she definitely wants to see. The attack boost he gets from Charisma doesn't hurt either. Taking into account Taira's ability to reduce ally Stargather, you can use Calamity Jane in a fairly effective supportive role with Taira no Kagekiyo. Of course, being an archer, naturally, she takes a lot of stars. However, if you use Taira's ability, you can make sure more of those stars flow to Taira to use. And those stars you're going to burn anyways using O Polar Star Shine My Way. With this skill, you can grant Taira critical strength, even more Stargather, evade, as well as ignore invincibility, and NP gauge on top of all of that if you happen to have the coveted 50 critical stars. Calamity Jane can be an excellent one-stop shop support. Just use her, generate some critical stars, grant Taira some buffs, and switch her out even if you so choose. And finally, Taira is chaotic evil, so you know what that means. We can absolutely pair her with Ashia Domin. Domin I have personally been using very effectively as a sort of evil supporter, not having to rely on things like double Castoria, double Scotty, or even just using them both and swapping Domin in. And it has been an absolute blast of a way to play. Some of my characters have gotten some insane damage numbers I never would have thought not possible, while Doman just goes and locks down the entire enemy team. It's weird. It's wild. For those of you that are unaware, Doman has the ability to increase the attack of allies that are evil and allies that are chaotic. So if you happen to be chaotic evil, you get both of those benefits. The same goes for increasing the critical strength for, again, allies that are evil, allies that are chaotic. If your allies are all chaotic evil, they get double the benefits. Doman is there to make sure that the evil on your team will absolutely triumph. Now let's talk about craft essences. There is one craft essence that encompasses 3 of the 4 things Taira no Kagekiyo would actually want to have. Those 3 things are quick performance to increase her overall damage, NP gain to ensure that she's able to refund her Noble Phantasm and use it again, and starting NP gauge, so you're able to reliably correct any errors when it comes from damage and fire off your Noble Phantasm far faster. That craft essence is Traces of Christmases Past. This came out in Christmas 2021 on NA, and you probably should have gotten a second copy of this in the rerun. Look, I'm not telling you how to live your life, just this is a very, very good craft essence, and multiple copies of this are going to be very, very good for you, especially considering all its bonuses are in attack. Hopefully you got this either during the initial event or the rerun. This will be an excellent option to throw on your Taira immediately. Now you can also look to go ahead and pull as much damage as humanly possible out of her Noble Phantasm. That is fine, especially if you are deciding to use her for her solo potential. Consider something like the Black Grail. This gives you that huge Noble Phantasm damage boost, but on top of that, it eats a little bit of HP each turn, so if you are truly one of those crazy people that wants to benefit from Taira's guts, well, there's a way for you to reduce your overall HP right there and try to ensure that the enemy murders her so she can come back and murder them twice as hard. Any craft essence with any of these effects, the quick effectiveness, the NP gain, the starting NP gauge, or the NP damage, are going to be fantastic picks for Taira no Kagekiyo. So look for something in that vein. And finally, we get to command codes. Considering Taira's massive critical potential, we want to throw as many critical damage command codes on her as possible. The Improbable Phantasmal Horse is an excellent pick for the quick cards, increasing the critical damage of that card by 20%. You can also give her something like Miss Majin. This increases star absorption of that card in particular, while granting a critical damage boost. You can make sure that those stars don't flow to cards you maybe don't want to see those stars as much as a quick card. Heavenly Child of Karama also just straight up works on any card in your deck, granting a 20% critical damage boost. You can always just simply go with the cheap budget critical damage option if you don't want to spend any of those high value command codes on Taira, but we can sink as much critical damage on there as possible and she will find a benefit from it. Overall, gang, Taira is a simple to use and effective servant. She is focused on doing one thing and one thing only, and that is dealing damage. And her kit really, really helps her do just that. She also finds benefit in having a bit of survivability. We're talking her guts, and we are talking her ability to have and evade as well. So she ends up working very, very well as a solo servant on top of that, much in the vein of, say, Heracles or even a Qin Shi Huang style situation. Taira is an excellent pick for either being your main damage dealer or being your final line of defense as a servant. If you aren't sure if your main team is going to end up pushing through, having Taira in the back line can honestly mean the difference between life and death. She is overall a pretty dang good servant, and if you need an Avenger, well, this is a good opportunity to get one. But of course, I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts about Taira no Kagekiyo down in the comment section below. Let me know if you think there are any allies, craft essences, or command codes that I might have missed, and let me know if you were able to successfully summon Taira during this event, or during whatever event is going on when you're watching this video in the future. I always like seeing that people are able to get the servant that they want. If you want to talk more Fate Grand Order, I have a link down below to my Discord server, which is always open, and I also have a link to my Patreon as well as my Twitch. Big shout out to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch, and a big shout out to all of you here on YouTube, because you are the reason that I continue to make these videos, and I really appreciate everyone's support. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see y'all in the next video.